Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Duels. This week we are looking at a mono red burn deck submitted to us by JYS. Remember, if you do want me to play a deck in the future, then be sure to send it to me either by Twitter, by email, whichever one you want, even in the comment section below. Whichever is fine with you is fine with me. This episode is sponsored by 5 Color Combo, so if you do check the description, you'll find a link to their website where you can find some really cool Magic the Gathering tokens made by real Magic the Gathering artists. Alright guys, without further ado, let's get into the games. Okay, we're in. We are on the draw. This hand is actually pretty good. We have a turn 2 Thermal Alchemist, turn 3 Harness Lightning that'll get us some pings or twin bolts, and then turn 3 Chandra to do the same as Thermal Alchemist but get that little bit of extra value. So, let's go. Our opponent is on a massive Hundo stack. A Toolcraft Exemplar from the very beginning. Apologise in advance, guys, if I do have any misplays. I'm actually quite hungover. Our opponent is rank 28, called Reprisal. Let's see what they can do. Always worrying to see a higher ranked individual with a fat stack. It usually means, oh, I'm so sorry, friend. So he gets to scry from his veteran motorist. However, he's played 2 1 toughness creatures here, so I'm going to be able to twin bolt both of them away, and he's not going to be happy. He gets in for 1 though. That's most of his hand down as well, so we are on the up and up. Unfortunately, we can't really get Thermal Alchemist down just yet. We could save our time, but if he plays an artifact, then he gets to get in for an extra little bit of damage, and I'd rather just save my life total and, you know, not give him 1 extra damage. Then again, we could see what he wants to do and do this on his turn instead, but we do risk him pumping up one of his creatures to save him, and then he has creatures to crew up his vehicles, so we'll actually just kill them now. Pass the turn. That's 2 of his creatures down. If this is vehicles, like I think it is, and the fact that he's got a very inconsistently large deck, if he doesn't have any creatures, then he's going to struggle just that little bit. He does find another creature though. This one is the Glint Sleeve Artisan, as a Fabricate ability. So he gets to make a servo. He's got 3 damage on the board. Sure. And we find a Collective Defiance. Okie dokie. Well, we're going to go Mountain and play a Thermal Alchemist, I think. Just means that our burn in the future is going to do a lot more damage for us. And it stops his 2 damage getting in, so we're only taking 1 this turn. Unless he removes it, of course. Chief of the Foundry gives all artifacts +1/+1, which includes his servo, but that is it for now. Okay, we'll just block this guy here, take 2 damage. Okay, we might need to get rid of this guy in the future, but for now, I don't think that's much of a problem. Ooh, Weaver of Lightning. He seems to be playing a lot of low toughness and servo creatures, so Weaver of Lightning could become quite useful in the future. But for now, I don't think it's necessary. Do we want to get Chandra down now? Chandra doesn't block very well. She'll be summon 6, so we can't tap her, and we don't have the mana to untap her either, so I'm not quite sure. I don't think we want to wipe his board or anything like that. I feel like some of this should just rather be pointed at his face. We could Collective Defiance, kill off his Chief of the Foundry, and 0.3 damage at him. I'm not against that. We don't really need the discard ability off of it right now because we have a pretty stacked hand. So I think that's what we're going to go with. It's the most mana efficient play as well, so 4 damage to a creature, 3 damage to an opponent. We're going to kill his Chief of the Foundry because that seems to be quite an effective card for him. So it debuffs his servo, so we might be taking just 1 damage this turn. And it untaps our Thermal Alchemist, so we get an extra point of damage on our opponent. He's down to 16. Another Plains. Have you got anything of use in your hand, Monsieur? Okay, he's getting in for the attack. We're going to block. He might have a pump or burn spell here, perhaps. I wouldn't be that sad if he had, to be perfectly honest, but we're not sure. Ooh, what are you? When it enters the battlefield, deals 1 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures. Okay, this is an odd one. But he's going to kill our Thermo Alchemist, so we're just going to get that ping in right now. Down to 15. Gets a 3-2. That gets to kill our Thermo Alchemist. It was pretty obvious that he was going to do something like that, but I didn't want to fight against it. What we can do here is we can actually Weaver of Lightning and Galvanic Bombardment his Smouldering Werewolf. And what that's going to allow us to do then is, because we're casting Instant or Sorcery, we can point that 1 damage at his servo token, and then he won't be getting any damage in next turn. That was annoying. I forgot to readjust my mana there. Don't know why it didn't tap that for colourless. But it does mean we're going to have to use our energy to cast this Galvanic Bombardment now, which is very annoying. Oops. We can actually... Oh, we've got Gear Shift Ace, so whenever it crews a vehicle, it gets first strike. We can actually do this a little bit differently. Yeah, so he's getting in with everything. We are going to block this guy instead. Tap our mana. We're going to Galvanic Bombardment the 3-2 and point the 1 damage at the Glint Sleeve Artisan. So we actually get more damage off of the board than just killing a servo token. Really wish I'd have tapped that for colourless, because then we would have had the extra energy for Harness Lightning. But if he is red-white vehicles, I don't think it's going to be particularly important to us. But that's 2 creatures off the board and we only take 1 damage. Weaver of Lightning is perfectly capable of blocking both of these creatures. He does have a Harness Lightning for the Weaver though, so he gets to spend 2 of his energy to kill our Weaver. Sure. We get a Dynavolt Tower. What's the best line here? So, essentially, we can cast all of the things, and none of them are particularly bad. I don't want to use our Exquisite Firecraft right now. Harness Lightning, there isn't a really good target for that, so I don't really want to. Oh, he's been replaced by the AI. He is down to 1 card, so he's probably just disconnected, thinking he's going to lose, and he very well might do, to be perfectly honest. I think what we want to do, though, is get Chandra down, because what Chandra can do is block the servo, and when she becomes no longer summon sick, then we can start pinging our opponent, and actually maybe transform her as well. So let's do that. Cool. If our opponent was not the AI, then I would have probably preferred to tap the Ether Hub for colours, so I could actually pretend to have a 1 damage burn spell. But the AI doesn't care what I'm pretending to do. So there's not much use for doing any of that. Foundry Inspector, 3 mana, 3-2. Artifact spells cost 1 less to cast. Sure. That's most of his vehicles, but we haven't really seen a vehicle come out of it yet. Okay, that's actually pretty good. It's pretty good. We'll play a mountain. And we will tap our Ether Hub and play a Dynavolt Tower. So whenever we cast an instant or sorcery, we get 2 energy. And Harness Lightning is going to get us 3 energy, which means we can actually point a lightning bolt at our opponent. Harness Lightning will also untap our Chandra as well, so we can get a fair amount of damage in here. Unfortunately, for us, he's kind of got a big wall up that we can't get Chandra through. So I think we're just going to pass the turn here. No point attacking. Chandra will die. And see what he wants to do. Gets in with his 3-2s and his 2-1s. Sure, we'll take it. And a Valor in Akros. So whenever a creature enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +1/+1 until the end of the turn. Works great with servos. Now then, we are going to ping our opponent. That's 1 damage. Question is, do I want to use this Harness Lightning to kill his servo token? I feel like I should. Because we're going to get 2 energy off of it, 3 energy from the card itself. We can then use the Exquisite Firecraft to get the 3 damage off that, and we can flip our Chandra next turn. So I think I'm going to Harness Lightning this for 1. Get 2 energy, untap our Chandra, tap her again. That's 2 damage this turn. Spend 1 energy to kill the servo token, which frees the battlefield for Chandra. And we get a Thermo Alchemist as well. So, it is whenever you cast a red spell, so we can tap Chandra here, play our Thermo Alchemist, which will untap her again. Sweet. We'll then get in for 2 damage with Chandra. Skadoosh. Point Exquisite Firecraft at our opponent. Gets us some energy. Untaps Chandra, which means that we can ping our opponent and flip our Chandra. Sweet. Unfortunately, our Thermo Alchemist is summon 6, so we can't get use out of that. Our opponent is down to 5. We take him down to 3, plusing Chandra to deal 2 damage. Final bit on the Dynavolt Tower to finish off our opponent. GG. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next game. Okay, we're in. Oh my god, this hand is weird. This hand is very conditional based on our opponent being a creature-focused matchup, so I think we're just going to throw it back. We can probably do better. This hand, yeah, I'll go with it. It has a Chandra on turn 4 and Twin Bolt and Ravaging Blaze until then. So we'll just throw down Ether Hub and pass the turn. This allows us to deny our opponent any knowledge of what colours we might be running. They'll just assume multicoloured, really. Evolving Wilds, so our opponents could have done the same thing, but they're going to crack it now. Our opponent, by the way, is Bandit with a weird face, rank 27. Black mana. Okay. Oh, we're getting flooded out. Okay. This wasn't the best hand in the world, but I really didn't want to go down to 6, to be honest, so... Play a mountain and pass the turn. We've got Twin Bolt open for any servo shenanigans if he is playing that kind of thing. Green, black. This might be sacrifice focus stuff then. Perhaps. Not sure. Could be Delirium. Could be Elves. It is Elves. Then the old hand that we had was actually pretty good. This guy can exile an elf and it gets +3/+3. Not too afraid of that, to be honest. Did we just draw another land? We did. Oh my god. Why? Alright, we'll play mountain and pass the turn. Please don't disconnect on the opponent as well. The past 3 matches, in the first 30 seconds, they've disconnected. And I've quit out and lost ranks for it. Because I'm in a bit of a rush, so I can't really be bothered playing against the AI. Nor do I want to record it for you guys to watch me play the AI either. Okay, Thornbow Archer. A 1/2 deals an extra damage if we don't control an elf. Alright, so we can play a mountain. What we can do is we could plus Chandra, and then she's likely gonna take. Does this to each opponent who doesn't control an elf? Yeah, she likely takes 3 next turn if he doesn't have a pump spell, which I don't like doing. We could plus her for the mana and Twin Bolt off a creature and point 1 at our opponent as well. That's another option. I think that might be the route we take here. Let's do it. I do want to get Chandra up and running as soon as possible. And we could minus her to kill a creature, but then the other creature just kills us, so we're going to add 2 red to our mana pool. And we're just going to Twin Bolt this guy. Because that one's going to do 2 damage no matter what, but this one he actually has to exile elves and spend his entire turn in order to not quite kill Chandra. And then we can just follow up with something like a Rolling Thunder. So let's see what our opponent wants to do about it. Off to his attack step. Comes at Chandra, as expected. He's got pump spells. No, he's going to spend his turn to take her down to 1. And then we're just going to kill it off, I think. Fair play. More lands. Yay. We don't have spell mastery, so this isn't going to go to our opponent's face if we used it for that. I'm just going to play another mountain, I think. Actually, I might as well just play an Ether Hub. Gets some extra energy. I think what we want to do here is plus Chandra, exile the top card. He doesn't have another creature in his graveyard to pump up the Vine Breeder. So he's either going to have a pump spell in his hand, or find a way of discarding a creature and still having 3 mana up in order to save her. And then we can just Ravaging Blaze in response to any sort of pump spells. And I think we can just do that. We might just hit something here anyway, and we do. Cast a spell. We'll kill this Vine Breeder. Spend 1 of our energy on killing it. Pass the turn. Alright, I'm just going to plus Chandra for the rest of eternity, really, as long as we can anyway. Keep the board as clear as possible. That's a 3-2. Coming at us for 1. Sure. We can now Ravaging Blaze with Spell Mastery as well, so... Oh my god, more lands! Kill me now. You probably will. If we're just going to keep drawing lands, then there's absolutely no hope for this game, to be honest, so... plus Chandra again. See what we can do. We hit a land. Sure. Does mean we're going to have to Ravaging Blaze off this Shaman of the Pack, otherwise we lose Chandra. Or we could just Rolling Thunder. Deal 4 damage, 2 to the Shaman, 2 to our opponent. I think that's what we're going to have to do, unfortunately. 1, 2, 1, 2. Keeps our Chandra alive. Keeps his board clean. Deals some damage to him in the process. We're running out of steam though, and he's playing elves, which just get out of hand really quickly. But they do benefit having not a lot of elves on the battlefield, so we're not exactly doing our opponent any favours by killing off his creatures. Evolving Wilds, so if he does have a 1 mana creature here, he could use it, but somehow I doubt it. Goes for blue. Is there any blue elves? I don't know. Tamio's Journal is good, mostly because we're running out of cards, so it can be quite useful for that. We'll go Ether Hub. Takes us up to our 5 energy, so if we do draw a Dynavolt Tower, we can use it immediately. Do we want to Tamio's Journal here? Start getting some clue tokens? I think what we want to do first is plus Chandra. See what's on top. It is a Ravaging Blaze. Alright, we'll cast it. Might as well do it for 5. So, 5 damage to Elvish Visionary. And 5 damage gets pointed at our opponent. We were going to lose that anyway, and if we didn't cast it, we were going to only deal 2 damage because of Chandra's ability. So that works out okay. Elves with blue. Why blue? Well, we get a Scarred Vine Breeder and a Shaman of the Pack to deal 2 damage to us. 2 damage being equal to the number of elves. And he ends his turn. Thermal Alchemist. It's not bad. Keeps Chandra safe. We can now deal 6 damage to our opponent. 8 if we don't cast whatever's on top for Chandra. Or even 8 if we give the extra mana to our mana pool. We're going to plus Chandra. Let's find out what is on top. Weaver of Lightning. 1/4 with reach. It blocks Shaman, and it actually kills his Vine Breeder if we cast our Ravaging Blaze. Ugh. I don't like that. But I think it's better than not having anything on the board. We can actually hold off for a turn as well. We could just block his Shaman of the Pack, and if he forces us into it, then we can just Scarred Vine Breeder. Get rid of it with a Ravaging Blaze, perhaps. I think we just want a Thermal Alchemist here, though. Get that extra bit of value. We should have tapped that correctly. The game never likes to tap the Ether Hubs for colourless mana, sorry. So you gotta keep an eye out for that, because it will screw you. In for the attack at Chandra. You can only pump that once. I'm going to block there. If you've got a pump spell for 2 mana, you could get blown out here. I'm just going to block with the Thermal Alchemist. Sure. Because Ravaging Blaze is going to get far more damage done. Especially with Chandra on the field. To deal that extra 2 off of whatever we draw. And whatever instant we cast is going to kill any of our opponent's creatures here. Galvanic Bombardment is actually going to ruin our opponent's day. So we're going to plus Chandra again. See what we get on top. It's a Twin Bolt. Even better. So, cast a spell. We're going to deal 2 damage to Shaman of the Pack. Kill the Vine Breeder with Weaver of Lightning's ability. We have Galvanic Bombardment to kill the Visionary. And Ravaging Blaze for 4 here. Though I think we can do better, so I think I'm just going to tap correctly. There we go. Leave open our 1 red mana for Galvanic Bombardment if he's got a pump spell to try and get past Weaver. If not, we start the card advantage. And if all goes to plan, then Ravaging Blaze is just going to deal a lot to our opponent here. Woodland Bellower, so 6 mana, gets a 6/5. We're going to point Ravaging Blaze at that instead then. He does get a green non-legendary creature with 3 or less, which is going to be a Reclamation Sage, sure. Gets rid of our Tamiyo's Journal. Not much we can do about that. And passes the turn. Exquisite Firecraft, lovely. Alright, plus Chandra. If we're allowed to last another turn with Chandra on the battlefield, then we're going to do some fun things. We're going to cast this. We'll point it at the Woodland Bellower. Say go. Point that at Reclamation Sage to kill it. And we'll point 5 damage at the Bellower, leaving us with 3 energy. And if we just Firecraft our opponent here, we kill off his Visionary. I think it's fine. Don't really have to worry about any instant speed life gain, to be honest, so... Nor do we really have to worry about counter spells. He's only got 1 blue mana, and I'm not sure really what it's for. And we've Missed tactile mana again, unfortunately. Do I have to worry about any hasty stuff? I mean, I'm just not going to attack on the off chance that he does have a hasty creature, because if he does, then it ruins our plans of just ultimating Chandra here. Which will just straight up win us the game, so I don't really need this extra point of damage in order to take this game. Just so long as Chandra stays right where she is. So, can our opponent knock Chandra out of her place? Somehow I doubt it. What have you got? He's in Think Tank. He's probably really worried about putting his 1 toughness creatures out there because we have expertly dealt with them. He's played a lot of them, so we've been able to ping them off with Weaver and Twin Bolts left, right and centre. We're really set up for that kind of matchup. So he doesn't really have the options that he might normally in any other matchup. Just because he's going to lose the creatures no matter what. Plus he's trying to think about a way that he can get Chandra down. Lissalana Huntmaster is not going to do it for you. And he gets a Shaman of the Pack. So we're just going to Galvanic Bombardment this away. Might as well just deal some damage there. This guy creates elves whenever another elf enters the battlefield. Should have maybe waited for that trigger to resolve, but oh well. It is not going to matter in the slightest because we have the game. So, we emblem our Chandra. So, whenever we cast an instant or sorcery, or cast a spell, sorry, we deal 5 damage to our opponent. Ravaging Blaze for 6 at the Shaman of the Pack. And kill that token. 5 damage to our opponent. 6 damage with Ravaging Blaze. That's the game. And we wipe his board clear. GG! Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. Remember, if you do want me to play one of your decks in a future subscriber video, then be sure to send it to me either in the comment section below on Twitter or by whatever you want to do. Email, probably. It's all in the description, whichever way you want to send me it. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the content. It helps me out a great deal, lets me know you're enjoying the Magic content, as well as subscribe for more of it if you really enjoy the content. And as always, stay for the end card where you'll find the deck tech for this list as well, and other content that you might enjoy. Alright guys, I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.